Hey y'all, so today we're going to be talking a little bit of professional wrestling. I know you see my AEW shirt, but don't let that fool you. I am a fan of all forms of wrestling. I got my Base God beanie, shout out Gringo Loco. Uh, I've got, well, okay, hold up. Fuck. I got The Fiend. Whoa. So just know I'm pretty neutral, but fuck. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, where were we? Just had to show you for a fact. What else do I just got a plain shirt on. Anyways, we're going to talk about wrestling. What else can I show that really shows my level of neutralness as I wander back here? I guess I could have always put my Defy Wrestling hoodie on. A small promotion based out of Seattle, Washington, which I live in Washington. I've got my Liger-san. Yeah, Jushin Thunder Liger, one of the greatest of all time, in my opinion. I've also got a Keiji Muto poster. So, just know, I've got some GCW stuff too. Just know that this is like, I'm very neutral. And without further ado, we're going to talk about some stuff that is happening. Ring of Honor. They've just started their tapings. I'm as a lifelong Ring of Honor fan, because you have to think I'm 19. That started a little bit before I was born, and I have loved it. Almost my whole life. Same, like Impact, same thing. I will always have a special place in my heart for that. I don't want to ever see it die. Always try to support the product. Ring of Honor has got some interesting stuff, definitely, because of the fact it's a relaunch. And a lot of companies try to do a relaunch, but not everything can. So, I think that Claudio being champion is very good. He's a name brand guy, he comes from WWE. Obviously has tons of history out there in the indies. And I'm a big fan of him, so him being champion, carrying that brand to start off with, perfect. And before Jay Briscoe passed away, picking the Briscoes to carry that legacy on into this new regime was amazing. It is very unfortunate, what happened to him with the car accident. Obviously, thoughts and prayers to his family. I'm trying to figure out how I move on to the next thing, because I know we started off very haha silly. I was showing off all the different things that are affiliated with my wrestling fandom. And it sounds really rambly, and that's because, I have high ADHD, so I bounce from subject to subject pretty frequently. And, if y'all dig this, you probably just like the sporadic thought process of, whoa, this. So I'm going to try to touch everything on all corners of the wrestling spectrum. Here we go. So Ring of Honor, obviously, like I was saying, great stuff with the Briscoes. Rest in peace, Jay Briscoe. Athena is the Women of Honor champion. Awesome. Loved her stuff in NXT as Ember Moon. Before that, hadn't really seen very much stuff because I was kind of sheltered from the indies for a little bit, but I kind of branched out as I got older because I'm 19, so I branched out, started watching stuff from earlier, like when I wasn't watching, because the only indies I had been watching when I was like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 was CZW, Ring of Honor, Chikara when it was around, and then GCW when it like first started. So I was watching these, and oh, and PWG obviously. Like, I mean, come on. So I was watching these, and I, just didn't ever see her on these things. Doesn't mean she didn't appear on them. Actually, I know for a fact she did appear in. I think she was in CZW. Let me Google that real quick, as I begin to, show that I'm not as big a freaking wrestling fan. No, I definitely am. I know a lot of stuff. So yeah, okay. She was in CZW. I was right. I didn't just make that up. I never saw it because I think that was a part of that weird thing where they did that streaming deal. She's great. I'm a fan. That women's division that they're building is stacked and can only get better because it's like, I don't want to say it's like the polar opposite of the AEW women's division, but it's pretty close. There's some really cool people in the AEW women's division, and I know people are gonna like see the first 6 minutes of this and think, oh, very AEW mark heavy. And yes, I know I look like a basement dweller. I know, I live in a basement. Y'all don't gotta like attack me for that. So I'm trying to like test myself and get content out and all this stuff, and I'm figuring it out one by one. So yeah. We got the trios titles in Ring of Honor as well. The Embassy, Brian Cage, Khan, and I believe, who is the other guy? Who is it? Is it both the Soldiers of Savagery? Let me Google it because I don't remember because they haven't really done anything memorable. No, it isn't. It's Toa Lenoa. There it is. He's cool. They're both cool. I don't know why I thought it was the other dude from Soldiers of Savagery, but I did. The Embassy is cool. They started with like a very weird thing because it was like, oh, Tully Blanchard Enterprises, and then Prince Nana shows up on not Supercard of Honor, but Death Before Dishonor. Yeah. Death Before Dishonor shows up at Death Before Dishonor and is like, oh, I bought Tully Blanchard Enterprises. And I mean, Brian Cage, I'm a big fan of him. He's a big, jack dude. Amazing. Has no charisma, in my personal opinion. I mean, he's okay. Like, he can cut a pretty good promo, but, tis what it is. I like the guy, but I don't know. I'm trying to find a way to make this sound like I'm not attacking him, because I love Brian Cage. He was my favorite. One of my favorites besides Killshot in Lucha Underground. He was one of my favorites when I saw him in AAA. Like, I'm a big fan of the dude. I have followed him. And, like, when I was younger, before AEW started, I was like, oh, this dude would be so sick in WWE. So, like, I'm a fan of the guy. And he's an awesome wrestler. He's so dope. However, I think that the Ring of Honor Trios titles, and this is obviously because of the fact they don't have a TV deal, that we are in this situation where I feel that Brian Cage is not, being used well, and that's because of Ring of Honor not having anything. Now they have something. So that's a little bit of a tangent. The Pure title, I used to hate it when I was younger. Like, when they brought it back in early 2020 when they were doing the shows with no crowd, and they had it, I was like, this is stupid. Why would they do this? So, like, I was a little confused. And they, it didn't really stick with me until I saw a pure title match live, and I was like, okay, I get it. I get the concept, and I love it. My first time seeing it was Jonathan Gresham versus Cody Chun at Defy year 5. Year 5. I don't know why I tried to say year 3. I wouldn't have been able to go to that because at the time those shows were 21 and up. So, onward we go. Pure title, great. Wheeler Yuta, love him. Ring of Honor is really cool. Very excited to see what they're doing. I've seen that at the tapings. Aussie Open is there. Big fan of Aussie Open. I was like, I was a little triggered when they didn't win the tag league, and I get it. Bishamon is amazing. They're great. I love Goto. Yoshihashi's cool too. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan, but like Goto is man, hands down. So yeah. Like to see that. Love Aussie Open. It's going to be interesting to see what Ring of Honor does with the tag titles. I think they're going to retire the old design and go back to the one they had in like 2017-ish, where it was like gold and had it looks very similar to like the women's title they have currently. So I think they'll go to that design. But I don't know. I very much do not know. What I do know is that it's all very interesting stuff. Like, I think that about covers my little tangent on Ring of Honor. Well, not quite, because like obviously I would like to talk more about spoilers. Like I know Eddie Kingston appeared, but I don't want to do all that because I'll just review it later. When I get Honor Club, pay the $9.99. So I'm going to talk about, I guess I'll talk about one of my favorite promotions I've been watching lately, Pro Wrestling Noah. And, obviously the whole Muto stuff was what brought me in. So, like, seeing him wrestle Shinsuke was amazing. It was beautiful to see the Great Muta be sent off in his final singles match with that. That made me very emotional because I love both guys. I'm getting kind of emotional thinking about it. Like my eyes I'm a little teary. I'm fighting it. Then we go to the tag match. We have Sting, Muta, and Darby. That's perfect. Perfect. Like that. Whew. You have Hakushi there. You have Kabuki come out before Muta. I'm getting chills thinking about it. The little wrestling nerd in me, just that moment is so amazing. And, you had Mirafuji too. I love Mirafuji. Oh my god, I love Mirafuji. Anyways, love that match. The story, Darby didn't get to do any crazy bumps, but I don't care. I wasn't even really there for that. I was just there to see Muta. And that whole show, I loved. Like, I love Japanese wrestling. Love New Japan. Like, I was a big fan of Dragon Gate when I was younger. Because that was another thing I saw because they had Dragon Gate USA, which later turned into Evolve. So, like, I had seen that stuff, too. And, like, Big Japan, which is, I know, more deathmatch wrestling. So, like, I had seen stuff from Japan that I loved. And, like, seeing Ultimo Dragon on that show, tag with Ninja Mac against Dante Leone and KZ and Yohei was awesome. Oh, so dope. And like also it'd be kind of messed up of me to not talk about on January 1st, Keno versus, what is his name? Kaito Kitamiya? I think I pronounced that right. I don't know. That dude is sick. He is amazing. I love that dude. He's probably one of my favorites now. Like, he has the coat. He looks like a superstar. In the ring, he moves like a superstar. He's so good. Okay, that's enough fanboying over that little bit of time. Because now we jump to the last show, the one that happened just this previous weekend. You have Pro Wrestling's Last Love, a show people paid, I think, I don't know, $30 for, something around the lines of that. I don't really remember. And oh my god, I loved that show. Unfortunately, I did, like, not even unfortunately, I chose to watch it with Japanese commentary. Because, like, I don't usually do that, but this, like, show felt like that was the moment for me. And I enjoyed every second of that show. There was not a down point for me. I loved seeing Nakajima in there with, what's his name? Kento Miyahara. That guy from All Japan. He is sick. I had never seen any of his stuff because when I was watching All Japan, I really only was, like, looking at YouTube highlights because Francisco Akira was, like, someone who was getting shout-outs throughout a ton of different pages I was on. And, like, so when he was there and he won the All Japan Junior Heavyweight Championship, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then he came to New Japan and I was like, okay, don't gotta care about All Japan anymore. But damn it, I feel like I need to watch All Japan because them boys, when they were in there with Nakajima, and let me run down that match. I think it was. I'm gonna check real quick. And before that, I had obviously also watched Pro Wrestling Noah versus New Japan when they did the Wrestle Kingdom 17, and the one before that. It was very cool. Like, I loved it through and through. Jake Lee, I like Jake Lee. I had also seen some of his stuff through All Japan as well, just from, like, Twitter. Because, yeah. Okay, so now Hiromu, and I don't even know how to say that dude's name. The GHC Junior Heavyweight Champion. I don't know how to say his name. If someone wants to, like, Google that for me, that would be awesome. If anyone even sees this, I don't know. Y'all might not. I might just be talking to no one. That dude is sick. And Hiromu and him, I loved it. I'm very excited for the Junior Festival this weekend. Should be good stuff. And I'm trying to think what else there really was on there for me that, like, stuck out. Because I liked everything, but there was just stuff that stuck out to me. So, not the biggest Okada fan. People can do with that what they will. They can say, oh, hater, ooh, he probably likes only Gaijins. That's not true. At all. So, Okada and Kiyomiya. Oh my god, what a match. Like, I didn't know it was going to be that good. And I think that match, just seeing Okada hit an Emerald Flowsion, that was enough for me to be like, okay, Okada, okay. You might have found yourself a new fan. Yeah, we'll see about that one. Because, don't know. But that was pretty cool. Then we go on to less cool stuff. I mean, still cool because like storytelling. We had Elimination Chamber happen a couple weeks ago. I think it was like 2 weeks ago now, something like that. That was a good show. Like WWE put on a really solid show. Men's Chamber was really solid. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Women's Chamber, and it's not because I'm like a hater of women's wrestling. I love women's wrestling when it's good, but that match just didn't really work with me as a person. Not as a fan there, like bringing me as a person into it. Y'all don't know me, so you don't know how I move. But as a fan, it just didn't speak to me. I was like, I don't know, this ain't it. What did speak to me was Roman and Sammy. Oh my god, the storytelling in that. Like I knew Roman was going to win, but there were moments watching the match I was like, oh my god, Sammy is about to be champion. El Generico, all this stuff like came flooding into my brain. I was like, woo, the generic luchador, he's going to be champion. He's going to be champion. And no, he wasn't. And that's okay. Like at first I was a little frustrated, so much so that my uncle had to sit me down for a second and be like, hey, listen there, bud. You know, it's okay. The bigger story is Cody. And I love Cody, so it's fine. What I don't like, though, is Sammy and Kevin Owens being used in the tag match at Mania. That I don't like. I mean, it's fine. I get it. Someone's got to be in the tag title match, but those guys feel like they should be in something bigger. But they're not. What are you going to do? It's WWE. Lashley and Brock Lesnar was very disappointing because I remember loving their encounter at last year's Royal Rumble. Not the year that just happened where Cody won, but the year that who won that year? Who did win that year? Was it Edge? No. God. Man, WWE really do be, like, forgettable. Sometimes. Not saying all the time, so, like, don't blame me for that. I'm just trying to remember who won the 2022 Royal Rumble. Because I know who won the 2023. I'm looking it up. I'm Googling. Oh, Brock Lesnar. There you go. That's why it was forgettable. Because I don't like Brock. I mean, I like his New Japan stuff, but I don't like Brock in WWE. And I do remember liking his match, though, at Mania with Roman. Because it felt like it was the last thing. And then they did the SummerSlam thing, and that was silly. But cool, I guess. If you're into that sort of thing. I mean, I love, hokey stuff in wrestling, but it was cool. Anyways, that's very WWE centric, right there a little bit. I guess from WWE to AEW, or maybe New Japan, but all I know is New Japan Cup is coming up, and am I going to watch it? 100%. Do I know who's going to win? No. Do I know any of the stories going on? No. Do I care? No. Do I just want to see awesome wrestling matches that can tell stories in the ring and I don't need promos to get across what's going on? Absolutely. I don't need promos in my wrestling. I know a lot of people do. And I love promos. I'm not saying I don't love promos. Hell, I cut promos with my friends back and forth all the time. I get real heinous with it. I say stuff that is horrible. Not attacking their sexuality or anything like that. I'm not evil, but it's not the nicest stuff. Whatever. Anyways, I I'm excited for New Japan Cup. I'm excited for what GCW's got going on. Impact just had No Surrender. I watched a little bit of it, but it was also on during Rampage this week, and like I said earlier, big Aussie Open fan. They're wrestling the Young Bucks, one of my favorite tag teams ever. Like, hands down, bar none. I loved them even when they were in TNA. Like, they were awesome. So, seeing them wrestle Aussie Open was amazing. I want to see those dudes go again and again and again and again and again. Oh my God, they're awesome. So good. And then you had the House of Black stuff too, which was dope. I love House of Black. There's a lot of stuff that I love about pro wrestling. It's just currently. Wow, I lost my train of thought. Impact. All I saw really was I saw Joe Hendry and Moose, and I saw Mickie James and Masha, which those I liked Moose and Joe Hendry. I thought it was very fun. The VR spot really, like, I popped for that, and I was over at my grandparents' house, so I show it to my grandpa, and he's like, "Why is he dancing?" And I was like, "He's got a VR headset on, Grandpa. Like, what do you mean? He's silly. You wore one of them." And he's like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "It's funny." He's like, "I guess." But it made me laugh, and the Dreamcast spot was very good, and the keyboard caps, whew, that was all very funny to me, and I like some funny stuff in my wrestling. So yeah, we also like Masha and Mickie James was very good. I like Masha a lot, and when I was younger, I met Mickie James, and I'm a big fan of her, and I've always been a big fan of her. So yeah, I don't got anything bad to say about Impact. I love Impact. I wish I could watch more of their shows, but I will definitely be watching Only the Strong Survive, because that card is insane. Jeff Cobb versus Moose. Oof, that's beef on beef. Yes, 100%. And then you have Ospreay versus Speedball, a match that has happened before and will probably continue to happen because those dudes just have awesome in-ring chemistry. Excuse me. Sometimes I can't control when I burp because I've been talking for so long. So it's been about 30-ish minutes, a little under. So I'm obviously gonna watch that. What else? I'll watch Impact's show from last week, probably when I get some time. You know, I'm still going to school. It's kind of hard to do that. But what else happened on Rampage of note? Action Andretti lost to Sammy Guevara in a really, really fun match. Like, I like Action Andretti a lot. I think he's got a lot of potential. But I don't really know. I mean, I've only been watching for like 19 years, which I know what you're going to say. What? You've been watching since you were like born? Yes, I've been watching since I was born. I was born during an episode of Raw. And I came out and I saw it. That was one of the first things I saw was my parents and then Raw on the TV screen. So, yeah, since birth, been watching. And I've never stopped, and I have no plans of stopping. I love it so much. What else happened on AEW, though, besides that? Oh, Tony Storm and Willow Nightingale had an extremely fun match. Like, I liked that a lot. I'm big fan of Willow Nightingale. I had seen some of her, like, when she was in Ring of Honor before AEW, before Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor. I was like, oh, she's really good. AEW should sign her. And then they signed her when Ring of Honor went under, and that was really cool. So I like her. I think she's got some big things in store later on in her career. She's really cool. You had that brawl after the match with Jamie Hayter and Saraya and Tony Storm and Dr. Britt Baker DMD. And that was cool. And then you had Ruby Soho come out and she did the I'm gonna be champion. I don't think she will. I really don't want to see Saraya be champion this soon. I feel like don't do that. It just, like, Jamie Hayter's had a really good run. Who else is going to be able to have those kind of matches that, like, get people talking? Saraya's just there because she's a name, but maybe she'll prove me wrong. Maybe that match next Sunday will be top tier, just peak. Don't know. The Guns attacked Best Friends. Yeah. After Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett Guns attacked Best Friends, and the Acclaimed was attacked by Lethal and Jarrett, which that was cool. I liked that feud because I was there live for their first match for Lethal and Jarrett versus the Acclaimed. That's where I got this hoodie from. It was cool. I never really realized how much I liked Jeff Jarrett because he's awesome. Like, I won't even let anyone else speak ill on Slapnuts. That is instant just hate from me. Do not do it. So, yeah. AEW was pretty solid this week. You had that Danielson and MJF promo on Dynamite. Whew! Heat! You could, like, that alone sold me on the pay-per-view. I already knew I was going to get it, but that, like, sold me. I was like, 100% yes. That's emotion. That's storytelling. Danielson snapping makes sense. A lot of people would do that in that circumstance. Then we had SmackDown. Which I watched out of order. So I watched Rampage first, then SmackDown afterwards. Because I'm not an AEW mark, but I'm pretty close without outright being one because I like everything. I feel AEW is the better product for the most part. It's not always, like, sometimes WWE knocks it out of the park and I can't even, like, speak anything bad. But AEW also has one of my favorite, like, lower to upper middle card guys in Kip Sabian. So, of course, I'm going to watch that. And when he gets TV time, of course, I'm going to choose that over WWE. Not because I like one or the other more. It's just because it's got the people I'm a fan of. I mean, I don't know why Kip came up. I love Kip Sabian. But, like, I'm going to probably buy a shirt, and you'll probably see it next video. Maybe. But I also bought WWE 2K23. So, fan of wrestling, just in general. I have Fire Pro. I'm going to get Fight Forever. It's not that hard to see. Fan of everything. But Kip came up because I was just using that as an example. So I watched SmackDown this week. It kicks off with a tag match with Braun Strowman and Ricochet, and I'm thinking, oh my god, who did Ricochet piss off in a past life to be put in this match? And, oh boy, Madcap Moss. Someone who is so stiff that even the dudes in 90s All Japan would look at him and say, I am not freaking working with you. Oh my god. Like, he's gotten a little bit better since he almost killed Baron Corbin, but he's still really bad. It's the same way I feel about Ridge Holland. Like, he's got the look. They both have the looks of pro wrestlers. They're just not the best. But, kicks off with Braun Strowman, Ricochet, and I love Ricochet. When he was Prince Puma, that was awesome. When he was doing his stuff in Dragon Gate, that was dope too. When he wrestled Ospreay, It got the internet talking, and I found out about it, and I saw it, and I was like, this is something that I just need to see all the time. And it's what made me a big Will Ospreay fan. And now I'm just a fan of his. Like, I love his work. That's besides the fact. Sometimes I jump from company to company while discussing another company. So we're gonna talk about that later. So this match is versus Imperium. I love Gunther. When he was Walter, loved him. Oh my god. Seeing him wrestle in Progress and Defiant, may it rest in peace, and wrestling at Defy in Seattle, Washington. I didn't get to see that, but I saw it on, on a little, like, I forget what the site was. I saw it like a year ago on, on Pluto, when they do the thing where they show the wrestling. I saw him wrestle Shaft, and I love Shaft, so I watched it, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So, love Gunther, love Ludwig Kaiser, and Giovanni Vinci. Don't really like the name, wish he would go back to Fabian Eichner, but is what it is. Not gonna lie, I fell asleep during this match. Like, someone could tell me it was the best match ever, and I'd be like, okay, cool, but like, I fell asleep. So, what does that say? It's not. If someone falls asleep during, like, yes, there's moments where people are tired, and a match can be really good, and people are tired and they fall asleep. That's fine. But when I fall asleep within the first 5 minutes, that means you are not doing enough as wrestlers to get me, like, focused on it within the 5 minutes, that I am comfortable enough to curl up in a little blankie and lay my head down and go to sleep. You are not doing enough. So my grandpa wakes me up after the match. He says, who won? I was like, I don't know, because he was playing on his iPad, because he didn't care either, because this is not a match people care about. Like, Braun Strowman's fine. He's a big dude, he's a draw. I'm not a big fan of him. I get why kids are, I get why adults are. I don't know why I said adults, because I'm an adult. But I get why people are. I get why people like the guy. He seems like a pretty stand-up dude. I did not like that match. So, we go further into the card. We have Natalya versus Shayna Baszler. And I used to like Natalya, like a couple years ago, she was doing some really good stuff. When she went down to NXT and wrestled Charlotte, that was pretty cool. And she wrestled Shayna Baszler, and Shayna Baszler also used to be awesome in NXT. But that match felt like it was being wrestled in, like, slow motion. I watched it, and also, randomly, they are pairing Tegan Nox with Natalya. That doesn't make sense. I don't get that. But they are. WWE does WWE things. So, yeah. The match ends. Shayna Baszler beats Natalya. Tegan Nox comes in and pushes Ronda Rousey off of Natalya. Ronda Rousey's like, who the hell is this? And then Shayna's like, Tegan Nox. And she's like, you're dead, Skittles. Or she says, I'm going to make you taste the rainbow, Skittles. Some stupid line like that like, just made me cringe to a high extent. And wrestling companies do that sometimes. They have lines that, like, are dumb, stupid, just not good. And that's what happened there. And then I'm trying to run down this freaking card, because it was like, was there only 2 matches on this thing? Here I go back to Google. What is that? SmackDown. Feb 4th, 2023. Okay. let me run down the card for you, lovely people, and see how you feel about it. So we have, like I said, first match, Braun Strowman, Madcap Moss, Ricochet versus Imperium. Oh yeah, then we had Drew McIntyre came out and was like staring at Gunther, and I like that. That'll be very cool, very very cool. Them dudes will hit each other like really hard, and it'll be very very fun. Um, so then you know, Eric and Ivar come out after the bell. I'm literally reading the results off my phone. Look at that. Boom. Can you nope, y'all, yeah. Focus. Hold up. Fuck it. There you go. Anyways, so Drew McIntyre watching the in-ring action, Eric and Ivar come out, crashing in to spark a wild throwdown after the bell. After that, goes to commercial. LA Knight comes out. Yeah. LA Knight. Whose game is it? It's LA Knight's game. Yeah. I love LA Knight. I liked him when he was Eli Drake. I've been a fan of him everywhere he's gone. Anyways, and he's basically just doing the Eli Drake thing, which is in turn very similar to The Rock, but who cares? He comes out, he's talking, he's like, oh, WrestleMania moment this. I don't really remember the promo because I didn't care. There was no reason for me to care. This is a random SmackDown. There has been nothing like built up for this man to come out here and cut this kind of promo. So, I don't know, maybe it's because, he lost to Bray Wyatt at Rumble. So, and then Kofi comes out because I think he says something about Kofi Mania, and Kofi Kingston's ears like start burning because everyone has to remember that happened. And I'm not saying that like I hate Kofi Mania. I'm not the biggest fan of Kofi as a wrestler, but I respect his accolades and I respect his contributions to the business. I just felt that the story was very it felt very rushed. You don't get the proper conclusion to that story, and that's why I hate it. It's like, oh, okay, he beats Daniel Bryan. He beats the new Daniel Bryan, which is the American Dragon, basically what we're seeing in AEW, but a little bit turned down. Anyways, he beats him. It's this big moment. History for a lot of people. They're happy. Everyone's happy. And then, after a very nothing title reign, and I can say that because his match with Dolph Ziggler at Stomping Grounds put me to sleep. And then they had a match at the Saudi Arabia show. I don't know which one. And it wasn't very enjoyable to me. So this man's feuds consisted of, I believe it was AJ Styles he feuded with for a second. Maybe. I don't remember. Because it was very forgettable. He definitely feuded with Kevin Owens. Randy Orton, he feuded with. Joe, he feuded with. I'm probably forgetting 3. I don't know. Anyways, I don't like Kofi Mania. Not because of the story. The story's fine. It's perfect. Excellent. The ending of the story is not perfect. You bring Brock Lesnar out to just squash him. And I get it. Logically, yes, Brock would squash Kofi Kingston. That's true. But then you bring out Cain Velasquez after that. So you're throwing away a title reign that had a little bit more juice left in it, and you could have had a bigger moment happen and not just give it away on a free show, which is what a lot of true WWE fans, they complain about AEW for doing, is they give away a lot of stuff on his show for free. What are you talking about? It's very illogical to me why they did it. I mean, I get it, because Brock's a draw, ratings, all that stuff. However, Brock Lesnar, like I said earlier, I respect him. Again, he's always had a good in-ring thing. But I just think that it should maybe, I don't know, have not been him on a SmackDown. Like, just having a title match is enough to garner a lot of views because people are going to want to see it. You could put anyone in that spot and then had Brock come back after the show. And that builds intrigue for the next week and so on and so forth, as opposed to, oh, Brock wins, lol. Here comes Cain Velasquez, lol. He's accompanied by Rey Mysterio, triple lol. And then you're building to a match in Saudi Arabia where this match is like not good at all. And Brock wins, you know? It's like, what was the point of it all? Anyways, that's a little tangent. So Kofi beats LA Knight. Because, of course he does. He's a former world champion. Makes sense. Dominic Mysterio comes out as opposed to Rhea Ripley coming out. And he cuts a promo with Charlotte. There's one funny thing that like made me chuckle during this whole thing. And it's the fact Dominic says something about Rhea Ripley breaking his back, and that I chuckled at that. That was really funny. So after that, then we get to that Shayna Baszler Natalya thing I was talking about earlier, and it was bad. I didn't like it. But then we get to something I like because I'm a big horror movie guy. I like cryptid stuff. The Bray Wyatt stuff, I'm a huge fan of it. Always have been, always will be. Unless it like gets really stupid, which it was starting to. But then the Firefly Funhouse is back. And that was pretty cool. And Uncle Howdy was on there, and it got really spooky, and it was like, oh, can you keep a secret? Can you keep a secret? And it like spelled out the spooky number, you know the one. And it spelled out sin, and it was just a lot of codes and stuff. I got a little jump scared. Heard a noise. Oh, that's just my TV clicking. There, now it's my Xbox. So yeah, that was cool. Then you have Cross and Rey Mysterio. I used to love Cross. In Impact, I loved his stuff. In NXT, I loved his stuff. The main roster, it just did something to that guy. Like the first run he had. And then he gets released. He goes on to the Indies. He has some really good matches. He comes back. And he's not doing any of the stuff he was doing on the Indies. He's not wrestling that way. He's not putting on entertaining matches. Makes no sense to me. And after the match, or during the match, Dominic Mysterio pulls his dad out of the ring. And then, like, Rey loses to Cross. And then Rey stands up, Dominic's in the ring, he's like, hit me, hit me, hit me. And it's funny because it makes me think about that can't wait to beat my kids tweet that Rey Mysterio put out when 2K13 came out, I believe is what it was. Something like that. Or no, WWE 13. One of those things. I don't know what it was called. Anyway, so that's funny. Then we got the Bloodline stuff. I know a lot of people like the Bloodline stuff. I like the Bloodline stuff too. Jey Uso comes out, and he tries to talk to Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso isn't there. But you know who is there? Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn comes out and he says, we were family. We were family. And then Jay is like, oh, we were family, but like you pulled the trigger, which made us not family. I did what I had to do to protect my family, but now you've broken my family and blah, 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 blah. Not blah, 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 because it wasn't entertaining. It's just because I'm like, this is almost an hour long that I've been talking about this. So, anywho, Jimmy comes out from the crowd, and they rush. And so Jimmy comes out, and Sammy hits Jay with a haluva kick, and then he runs off, and Jimmy and Sammy have a moment where they just kind of like eyeball each other like this. just look into each other's eyes. And then Sammy scampers away, and that's how the show goes off the air. Very interesting stuff. Roman Reigns will be there next week, and trying to think what else happened throughout wrestling. Oh, the Mania weekend stuff. The WrestleCon show is going to be awesome. Bloodsport looks crazy. Kota Ibushi versus Speedball. Yuya Uemura versus Alex Coughlin. Oh my god. Those are two matches that just speak to me on a lot of levels because I like all four of those guys I just listed. You have let me pull up their Instagram. I know this seems very unprepared because it is. I just I just kind of decided I wanted to do this, so I'm doing it. Sue me. Now I'm in Discord. Whatever. So the shows GCW is putting on is for Mania Weekend, is For the Culture. I know that. The World on Lucha, which let me run down the card for that. Hijo del Vikingo versus Laredo Kid. That's awesome. That's going to be fun. Very fun. Los Maciosos versus Familia de Tijuana, which is Damien CCC, and I forgot, I think it's also... I don't know. I think it's his dad. Whatever. Sexy Star 2 is going to be on the show. That's cool. Not like Sexy Star 2 like it's in Sexy Star like from Lucha Underground. No. But Sexy Star 2 like the person who took the mantle. That's just a little bit from that show. They haven't really announced enough because they still got time. Mania Weekend isn't here yet. For the Culture is a show that I'm very excited for because it's got some matches. My goodness. So you got an intergender match. You got Lio Rush versus Trish Adora. I like Trish Adora and I love Lio Rush. CZW guy. Seen him in there. Seen him live. Big fan. Brian Keith versus Too Cold Scorpio. Should be fun. I like Brian Keith. He's pretty dope. Also announced for the card is Myron Reed. I like Myron Reed a lot. He's pretty cool. Let me keep going. You got DDT versus GCW, I believe. No, that is not what it is. It is just DDT LA, which should be cool. You got Eddie Kingston and Jun Akiyama teaming up together. I like that a lot. You got Tetsuya Endo versus Joey Janela. I saw Tetsuya Endo for the first time on the Noah show for Muto's last match. That dude is freaking awesome. Oh my god. Same with Mao. Mao is really cool. You got Mao and Shunma Katsumata, I think I said that right, versus Chris Brooks and Yoshihiko. I like Mao and I like Chris Brooks. Then you got Takeshita versus Yuki Ueno? I don't know how to say it. That's my bad. But it looks like it'll be a fun show. Can't wait to watch it. Mania Weekend, gonna be fun. You got GCW also has some stuff coming up in March. We got Eye for an Eye, which looks like so far they've got Nick Gage versus Masha Slamovich. Love Masha. Love Nick Gage. MDK for life. Bandito versus Gringo Loco. Homicide versus Matt Cardona. That's pretty cool. Oh, also, speaking of Matt Cardona, I watched NWA. I watched the, what was the show called where Bully Ray showed up? I don't know. I didn't like it. NWA is just not for me. And I don't think it ever will be. And that's fine. I mean, there's the only thing I do like is I like, Like some of their like what is that dude's name? I don't remember, but I like EC3. I think EC3 is cool. Like as a wrestler, not the biggest fan of him as a person. He doesn't share a lot of knowledgeable takes, in my opinion. Don't hang me for that, but that's how I feel. You've got Rina Yamashita versus Sawyer Wreck, and Sawyer Wreck versus Los Macizos for the GCW Tag Team Championships. That'll be really fun, really violent, really probably will look like something out of a horror movie. Blake Christian versus Jack Cartwheel will be a fun little flippy match. And then we got Jimmy Lloyd's D-Generation F on the 31st. Titus Alexander, love Titus Alexander, future of professional wrestling. He's awesome. He can sell like a mug. Versus Cole Radrick. I love the Ratty Daddy. Then you got Kenzie Page. I love Kenzie Page. She's awesome. One of the good spots of NWA as well. She's really cool. Versus Sandra Moon. Or Moon. I don't know. It's Moone, so I think it's Moon, but I'm not positive. Hunter Drake versus Jack Cartwheel. Starboy Charlie versus Alec Price. Alec Price is awesome. I like Starboy Charlie too because we're the same age, and that's pretty cool. Also, next weekend, they've got Holy Smokes, which so far on that show, they've got Hijo del Vikingo, Rina Yamashita. I'm running out of breath and like butchering names now. Rina Yamashita. I butchered that. I don't care. Versus Casey Kirk, former American Deathmatch champion in ICW No Holds Barred. Well, no, just in ICW, but former champion there. You got Drew Parker versus John Wayne Murdoch. That is going to go insane. The light tubes they use, crazy. Very bloody, probably. Blake Christian versus Akira. That could go two ways. That could just be like a stand-up match, or there could be light tubes used and people could bleed. I don't know. I'm very excited to see. Joey Janela versus Venny. I've not seen enough stuff from Venny, but from what I've seen of her, she seems cool. Effie versus Slade. That's continuing that Charles Mason and, Thrusy thing and his mercenaries. Los Macizos versus the SATs. And I think that's all on the card. Oh, also announced for Eye for an Eye. That's the March 17th show. Time Splitters versus Jordan Oliver and Mike Bailey. I believe that is all that I forgot to mention. Yeah, so wrestling's in a good place right now, is the main thing I'm trying to say. I hope everyone enjoyed this. I'll probably be better planned next time. I just wanted to do this. So, peace out, everyone. And to quote the great Ian Riccaboni, happy wrestling.